My miracle baby was called a taco at his first public outing. What happened next taught me everything about motherhood's invisible battles. Is he actually yours? The woman at Whiston whispered, eyeing my sleeping son suspiciously. That was the third time in a week someone questioned whether I had stolen my own child paint, all because my miracle baby didn't match their idea of what my family should look like. After being told I'd never conceive following a devastating car accident, my pregnancy at 37 was already labeled geriatric and high risk by medical professionals. But nothing prepared me for the battle that would begin once my beautiful half-Mexican son entered the world, penned the constant need to prove he belonged to me. I met Miguel when I was 35 after years of believing romance had passed me by. His warm brown eyes and patient smile made me feel safe in ways I'd never experienced. When he proposed 2 years later, my heart nearly burst with happiness. We talked about children, but doctors had been clear. The internal damage from my accident made pregnancy virtually impossible. Then came the day I was prepping for a routine heart procedure, standard protocol, the nurse said, drawing blood for a pregnancy test. When she returned looking flustered, I assumed something was wrong with my heart. Mrs. Sanchez, she said, you are pregnant. Those 9 months were terrifying, parental weekly monitoring, bed rest, and constant warnings about potential complications. But against all odds, our son Mateo arrived perfectly healthy with his father's olive skin, dark curls, and my green eyes paired a beautiful blend of both worlds. I expected sleepless nights and diaper blowouts. I never expected to fight for recognition as his mother. The first incident happened at my friend Sarah's baby shower. Mateo was 3 months old, and this was our first real outing. As I carried him over to meet everyone, Sarah's mother gasped loudly. Oh my gosh, look Pert, it's a culcul, she announced to the entire party. He looks just like a little colo. The garden fell silent. My arms tightened around Mateo as if I could shield him from her words. Sarah looked mortified, but her mother continued. I mean, he's just so ethnic. Not what I expected from you at all. I mumbled something about Mateo needing a diaper change and fled to my car where I sobbed uncontrollably. Not because of the ignorance parent, though that was stunning parent, but because for the first time I realized my son would face judgments I never had to consider. A week later at Niston, a woman stopped to peer into my stroller. What a gorgeous baby, she said, then frowned. Is he actually yours, all yours? At the pediatrician's office, a nurse asked if I was the nanny Pert twice at the park. A mother pulled her child away when I mentioned my husband was Mexican. I called my mother in tears after the Neston incident. How do I protect him from this? I asked. You can't shield him from every ignorant comment, she said gently, but you can show him that those comments don't define his worth. That night, as I rocked Mateo to sleep, I made him a promise. I couldn't prevent people from questioning our connection or making hurtful comments, but I could make sure he grew up knowing 2 things with absolute certainty. He was a miracle and he belonged exactly where he was. Churred in my arms last week, Mateo turned 5. At his birthday party, a new neighbor asked if he was adopted. Before I could respond, Mateo looked up from his cake and said, no, I grew in my mommy's heart first and then in her tummy. That's why I am a miracle. Some battles in motherhood are visible, parent to the sleepless nights, the tantrums, the endless logistics, but others remain unseen, pen the constant need to validate your family's existence, to protect your child's sense of belonging, to swallow hurt so they don't absorb it too. My son may not look like me in the ways some expect, but he has my resilience, and in a world that sometimes questions whether he belongs to me, I am teaching him the most important truth. It's actually the other way around, Part. I belong to him.